Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into Bible knowledge to strengthen your faith and understanding. In today's episode, we're answering a big question. What's the difference between the Old and New Testament? Let's break it down. What are the testaments? First things first, what does the word testament even mean? In the Bible, testament is another word for covenant that means an agreement or promise between God and his people. So when we say Old Testament and New Testament, we're really talking about the Old Covenant and the New Covenant, two different ways God has related to humanity throughout history. The Old Testament, God's covenant with Israel. The Old Testament is the first part of the Bible. It was written before the birth of Jesus and contains 39 books. These books include the law, like Genesis and Leviticus, history, like Kings and Chronicles, poetry, like Psalms and Proverbs, and the prophets, like Isaiah and Jeremiah. The Old Testament tells the story of how God chose a people Israel to be his own. He gave them laws through Moses, made promises to Abraham and David, and led them through both blessings and judgment. This was the Old Covenant, where obedience to the law was central. It was based on sacrifices, ceremonies, and moral laws. But the Old Testament is not just history, it's full of prophecies pointing to something greater. Or should I say, someone greater. The New Testament, God's covenant through Jesus. Now, fast forward to the New Testament. This part contains 27 books and begins with the birth of Jesus Christ. The New Testament fulfills what the Old Testament looked forward to. Jesus himself said, "I did not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it." Matthew 5:17. The New Testament introduces the new covenant, God's new way of relating to people through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. This covenant is not based on following a set of laws, but on grace, faith, and relationship. It contains 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, which tell the story of Jesus. Then we have Acts, the history of the early church, the epistles, letters to churches and believers, and finally, Revelation, a prophetic look at the end times. Key differences, side by side. Let's compare them side by side. Old Testament, law-focused, based on works and sacrifice. New Testament, grace-focused, based on faith and the sacrifice of Jesus. Old Testament, God's covenant with Israel. New Testament, God's covenant with all who believe in Christ. Old Testament, animal sacrifices to cover sin. New Testament, Jesus' sacrifice removes sin forever. They're different in how they function, but deeply connected. The New Testament doesn't cancel, the Old it completes it. So there you have it. The Old Testament lays the foundation, and the New Testament brings the fulfillment through Jesus. One story, one God, 2 testaments, one salvation plan. If this helped you understand the Bible better, drop a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments which testament you've read more of. And hey, next episode, we're breaking down the 10 Commandments. Don't miss it.